Good evening, everyone. My name is Nhlanhla. Normally I sign in and sign out by saying Nhlanhla, Soweto Parliament. Morning.
Is your last name Lux?
It's a name that my grandfather gave me, but they made it fashionable at St. David's.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Muhlaudi. Sure. I think the questions will come after. A lot of people know me with bulletproofs and being very aggressive and fighting for communities and building communities. And I think what's important for everyone here, since it's a safe space, to know that I'm very much like everyone else. I'm very much like everyone else because you guys, I've learned that you're more business focused than anything else. And I also do have that history. At the age of 20, I owned a golf course. In my 20s, I also owned an airline that did pretty well. So purpose again comes when you talk about it. I left all that. I put everything on ice to do what I'm doing now. Is it worth it? I have no clue. I'll find out with time. But what's important for everyone to understand is I don't think that purpose can find you. You have to be on the road and you find it. That's just my contribution to what you're talking about in terms of purpose. But you introduced me as Operation Tutula.
From Operation.
Yeah, that's not wrong. I am the leader and face of Operation Tutula. And guys, I want everyone to understand something, that when you say Operation Tutula, I'll go back to a little bit of background so you understand why it came about and where we are in this country. The primary thing, you may walk in, the primary thing that we're trying to achieve is to put South Africans first in South Africa. And if you have a problem with it, please put your hand up. If you have a problem with me putting South Africans first in South Africa, please raise your hand. Fantastic. So the question was, if you have a problem with me putting South Africans first in South Africa, please put your hand up. You have that problem? You have that problem?
Slap with a caveat to it.
Okay, we'll talk about it later. Who else has a problem?
I want to join the ladies.
Yeah. Now, the president of the country recently said that we are vigilantes. You heard that recently? And we've also been called criminals in parliament by the infamous Julius Malema. Ironic. Big time ironic. But to all of you that are here, for me this is an intimate space where I can be more casual than normal, because generally I'm very aggressive. But I want us to engage, and I don't think I'm here to educate you. I'm also here to learn from you, because your views are going to help me when the sun rises to take even better directions. Maybe that will take the country in a more decent direction, because the biggest thing that people are worried about is that our actions might turn into xenophobic actions and lead the country and was it 2008 where we experienced the xenophobic attacks, and bring that back. A person like me disagrees big time. Why do I disagree? Because just in this week alone, we had 7 South Africans die in Diepsloot. No politician said anything about it. People in this room, it was normalized because it's normal when South Africans die. A Zimbabwean guy died last night, in the early hours of this morning. The EFF took out a statement saying how unfortunate that death is. A few hours ago, 7 South Africans died. Your South African media interviewed the wife of the guy that died. We now know what the wife looks like. We here supposed to be sympathizing with the wife and the kids. The South African, do you even know if they Zulu, Sotho, Xhosa? Do you even know if they colored? Do you even know if they were married or not? The media doesn't focus on that. Instead, there's a narrative in this country that says we must normalize South Africans being second-class citizens in their own country. Because when we speak up about it, it's a problem. It's a problem because you just might. We're not being judged for our actions. We're being judged for what might come. And that's not fair. Because I've been leading operations on the ground, heavy, armed, everything, being shot at. Maponya Mall is another example. Being shot at heavy. I'm lucky to even be standing here. But we're being judged on might, not on actions. We don't have a single drop of blood on our hands. But we are the criminals that they speak about in Parliament. And we are the guys that are at the center of probably starting a culture and a wave of xenophobic attacks in this country. And you are the guys that repost when they say that and talk about it and don't come to the defense of the South African, putting South Africans first. The same people that I'm talking to here. When this South African was arrested for fighting drugs in our communities a few weeks ago, all of you here are pretty decently resourced. Some people know me. My friends are here. I went to the same school with them. But they didn't come and ask me if everything's sorted. They didn't. None of you did. But my life is dedicated to putting South Africans first in South Africa. The same South Africans who have a problem with me putting them first in their own country. And they're all judging us on might. No, they might. We've been doing this for more than 10 years now. No blood spilled. But we're being judged on might. There's now a commission of inquiry on the July unrest. The guys that actually initiated and fought against the guys that were looting are not being questioned in that inquiry. But the thugs are. The politicians are. And your tax money is being spent in billions to try to get to the bottom of it by asking who. All your politicians were at home, all of them, alongside many people in this room, when the country was burning, checking on your Twitter statuses. What's the update? We were receiving the fire and the bullets in Soweto. That's what was going on. That's the reality of life. But the people who should be having most of the information for the inquiries to go on are the people who are chilling in their lounges, called politicians, changing TV channels from Newsroom to ENCA to SABC. Where am I going with this? For me, it's very simple. We all need to be active citizens to take the country forward. We actually need to be super active citizens to take the country forward. There is no one that's coming to save us. I do not care what you think and how you think. You can have all the degrees in the world. There is no one that's coming to save us. There's no textbook that's going to save the kid in Dipsloot who has nothing to eat tonight, who's sleeping alongside rats and mites. No textbook. What I would like for everyone to take home when I sit down is very simple. There is no way that you'll save this country if you can't save your immediate community. There is no way. We all need to go back to basics. There's no way that you can even save me if you can't save yourself. There's no way. So the country needs to go back to basics. This thing of inheriting what politicians give us and what the old people are giving us. The old people are giving us nothing but hate. I don't listen to my mother half the time because she experienced hate. And the best I can do is inherit hate from her. She loved me. I took the love. I chose what I to take from her. I can't take everything from her. I've got an aunt who thinks white people are aliens. They came here just to kill black people. I'm telling you. Do I become the decent child and just listen to the elders? Or do I reason and become real with the situation? Let me tell you, white people continue to have braais on Saturdays with uncles that are completely racist. Do they take it? Do you take it? Then what do we do? What's the solution for this country? The young people need to come together regardless of color and make sure that we overthrow the old people. I said it in the most simplest way I can ever put it. But the old people are the biggest problem in our families, in our communities, and in our country, both in private sector and in government. Old people are a serious problem. And I hope that when you guys get old, you don't become those old people. Because seriously, look, let me just give you a quick journey. I get arrested. Who arrests me? Old people. Who makes the call? Old people. Why? Because this young person found an old person selling drugs in the community. And because the cops collect money from him, they're part of the system. The cops are drowning in corruption. Not everyone can say it, but we don't care. This is our life. We say it. Now this kid is a problem. The same politicians who speak ill and foul about us. An entire president. Guys, if the president was below 40, the president would have made contact with this young person and said, no. There's substance here. How do we then work together to take the country forward? But on many occasions, your own president has called us names.
But you're a threat.
No, but that's childish for him to take a threat and articulate it in that way because he commands 65 million people in this country. What is he doing?
You're a threat to the entire existence. You are literally going against everything that they stand for.
Yeah.
Their voting power, their voting structures. You are literally... The whole country's behind you.
Sure.
And they hate that.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not a
Sorry. She just said, why am I allowing you to speak?
Yeah, sorry.
We'll do it at the end.
I was about to call you sexist.
Yeah, so carry on.
Sure. So, as I reach my conclusion, I want all of you to know something. I'm not attacking Julius. I'm not attacking the EFF. It's just unfortunate when I speak about the realities of the country. They happen to be part of the reality. So I just have to speak about it. We went to Shekho. Where Julius comes from, they've got people selling drugs on the same road. They've got people selling expired food to our people because our grannies can't read. That's what it is. But he's here saving the country, really. And you buying it and you voting? Is that it? I can speak about the ANC too. Half of the people that are sitting in that parliament, when you go back to where they come from, you must judge a man by their actions and where they come from. If you can visit where a person lays their head at night, there's that alone. Maybe it's just our training, because some of us have special type of training. That alone can tell me everything about you. So if you can't take care of your community, there's no way you can take care of the country. So we need to get into a future where we decentralize power, even in business, but definitely in government. We decentralize power because there's no way that communities need to be led by people who don't even know those communities exist. It's impossible. You can't lead my community if you don't understand the problems. You've never set foot in the community. If I ask you here, how many communities do we have in South Africa? No one has that answer. Cyril doesn't know that answer, but he's the president of people that he doesn't even know exist, simply because of the systems. So what we need to do as young people is that we need to go back to the basics. Go back to the basics and do the best we can in our own spaces. Once you achieve success in your own space and community, you graduate outside your community. I can tell you that's exactly what we did. That's why you guys know us today here. We started with Soweto, and we got the job done. We don't speak about it. We do it. We get the job done. A lot of people, politicians in particular, have sponsored big money for negative PR around our names on social media. Half of you fell for it. Half of you fell for it. I mean, I went to school with that guy there. A picture with him means I'm captured. Really?
VC.
Yeah. I spoke on McGee's show that my first uniform at the white school was all written VC. VC Clarkson. And all the black kids say, oh, VC Clarkson. And only to find out that all that uniform came from his mother, who worked with my mother, who organized for me to get into that school. And many years later, decades later, we're still friends. From Soweto straight into his house, and I put on that uniform he shared with me, and today we're here. So it's funny how life works. But what's important is, what I was saying, we need to go back to the basics. Most black people, I don't know about you guys, most black people, we have problems in our family. We have big problems in our families. There's an aunt that hates that aunt, and I'm telling you, and I'm expected to inherit the hate and hate my cousin that comes from her womb. And it's just crazy because half the time it doesn't make sense. And when our grannies die and grandparents that die, it's madness. We fight for our properties the properties don't have title deeds, by the way, but we fight like we're going to inherit something proper. No, that's what it is. In our black families, the way we are so broken, people don't tell the truth. We are so broken in our black families that I would rather see my own sibling living in the streets so that the extra room in the house gets rented out for $1,000 for $1,500. I'm telling you the realities of the township. Half the time when even the black guys leave the township, they get disconnected. They see us on TV, they think we're just there because it's popular and it's fun to be on TV. I'd rather not. I'm a pilot by damn profession. I'd rather be in Mauritius and flying and chilling. No, I'm being serious. But it's impossible. Why? Because some of us lived in two worlds. Daytime I'm at St. Davis, one of the most, probably one of the richest schools in the entire continent, alongside others, like where we are now. And at night, I'm sleeping on the kitchen floor. I've said this in many interviews. So I've managed to live in the best of both worlds. And that's why there's nothing that Vincent can tell me, God damn it. I know his life. And there's nothing that she can tell me because I know her life. So when the world has conspired for a person like me to have mastered the best of both worlds, it's only my responsibility to try put the worlds together, because they live in a big bubble. You live in a big bubble. And it's a problem because South Africa is such a diverse country. When you stand up and say the country should take that direction, are you speaking on behalf of the Venda people, the Tsonga people, the Sotho people? Who are you speaking on? Or for? Who are you entertaining here? Are you entertaining the systems that were put in place so that you can go on at the expense of others? So it's a bit tricky. But the only way to solve it is by going back to the communities and solving it. Parkhurst as a community has its own problems that are unique, and you don't find the problems they have in Meadowlands, for example. In Meadowlands, you've got different type of drugs that are way different from the drug that the 16-year-old consumes in Parkhurst. They don't consume Retex mixed with battery acid. That's what it is. So there is no way that you can lead a country without being plugged into the realities of the country. You need to know. You need to know what the people are doing on the ground. Now you are all here. All of you here are being led by people who are clueless about the country, your needs, and everyone else's needs. These people are clueless. That's why Operation Tutula is judged. Operation Tutula, they say it's a vigilante movement, and you all agree to it most of the time. Why? Because they're speaking English, and it's fancy, and they're speaking well enough for you to be entertained, because your ears, anything English goes. Let me tell you, what's vigilante? Some people in the room probably don't know how to define the vigilante. And we speak well, and we went to the best schools. What's vigilante? Let me not embarrass people. You don't have to answer it. But vigilante is a group of people that then enforce the law without legal authority to enforce that law. Understood? That's what vigilante is. So they're saying that we are those people, a group of people enforcing the law without legal authority to enforce the law. There's no video, Yatutula, that you've ever seen without us having police presence. So when the president, someone who has ultimate state security and information and resources, is standing up and saying we are vigilantes, I'm not blaming him, but that's a sign of weakness to me, because in his capacity he's misleading. I'm not saying he's lying, because he might be misled. He's misleading everyone. 65 million people are misled by the president, saying these young people that have opted to work within the boundaries of the law. Let me tell you, all of you here, something. I'm sure you saw. We're not short for courage. We're not short for resources. R5 Kintur Pilankayon, meaning AK-47, is something that I can call quick in 5 seconds. I can have 10 AK-47s in this room. but we choose to do things within the boundaries of the law because we understand the importance of it. And the same leaders that you guys voted in power are saying that we are vigilantes and criminals. And those that call us criminals in parliament are protecting drug dealers that we fight against in the communities, in the townships. They're protecting them. God damn it, I was in jail cells because I apparently stole 300 rand from a drug dealer. So our country needs to go forward, and the only way we can all move forward into the future that we all want here is back to basics. We need to press a big reset button so that we actually reset from the past and move forward properly. Because what we're living now is not life. And if you guys are fine with it, you can continue in the burbs and have fun with it. Us in Soweto, it's too tough. Us in Tembisa, it's too tough. I can name all the townships across this country. It's too tough. We can't make ends meet. It's impossible. The grannies are getting raped. As I speak, there's a granny being raped in Soweto because there's someone who's too high on Nyaupe, who can't even reason for his own life. Right now, I'm telling you facts right now. There's someone who's dying right now. There's a young girl who's being raped by an uncle right now in Soweto. Guys, our dynamics are crazy. The differences are too crazy. The worlds are too far apart. And there's no one man who can bring them close together. The only way that we can win this war in South Africa is if we all just come together. But when you listen to the politicians, they can't take the mic and remind you how black people must hate white people. They can't. They just can't help it. It's all about hate and hate and hate. Why can't someone just emerge as a leader and say that, listen, I understand that the land of this country is in the hands of the minority, being the white people. At what point do we engage the white people? Because if they are in possession of that land, it's a matter of engaging them for us to get the land back. And not only for us selfishly, but they'll also have access to the same land. But instead, what your current leadership does, that you guys voted for, not me, that you guys voted for, they'll go and just talk about it and march about it and make noise about it. What does that do? It creates a big culture of hate that must just be given to the kids, to the young people who know nothing about that hate to inherit. There's a young person who's 16 who hates white people because they heard Malema say that, kill the poor, kill the farmer. And he walks in court and says, and these black people that think they are conscious. Yeah, no, these are our struggle songs. Wait. Don't tell me about Mandela. Don't tell me about your struggle song. What are you and I doing today to take this country forward? Because if I'm encouraging, kill the poor, kill the farmer, we're not all equally educated. There's someone who understands that differently. That means when I see that poor, I must kill him. And we laugh about it in court. And we say that what's his name, Mark, that was questioning Malema. And we say that, oh, Malema handled Mark. That's rubbish. That's nonsense. Why can't we be honest about the situation? We can't be singing, kill the poor, kill the farmer. If he starts singing, kill the gaffer, kill the whatever, it's a different story. You all be upset. Why aren't you upset when Malema does it? Or any other black person? It mustn't sound like I'm attacking Malema now.
It's hate crime.
It's hate. At what point are we going to move forward in this country? At which point is it going to be easy for a white person to say that, listen, I do not want this land that's inherited, that I inherited with my sisters, because I understand it came from violent crime, because people died for this land. When are we having a codessa of young people to say that, what do we do with such assets that some of us have inherited? They don't have that platform of expression because they're scared of opening the door. The Afrikaans kids in farms that some of us go and speak to, they want to engage and say that, why can't we all be farmers? But no, they can't even string a sentence of English together. They're deep Afrikaans boys. But they are in their shells because you created an environment, at least accepted an environment that the politicians created to say that we can't work together. You enable the rubbish that comes from these politicians.
And they're being punished for the sins of their father because their forefathers are the ones that brought about this persecution, but they can't be now punished for the sins of their father.
100%.
We're being punished for the sins of our fathers. I'm inheriting my dad's debt.
So she listen, you're not wrong. Because if you remember what I fought ESCOM and the new mayor about in Soweto is that you can't say that we have R1 billion debt. That's Mandela's debt. You can't make me inherit a debt. Bill per house, don't bill per area. If you remember what we're fighting for in the news, right? So I do understand what you're saying. All of us here have inherited rubbish. And all I'm saying is let's cut the umbilical cord. Cut the umbilical cord, let it slide, let it go with the waters, and let substance remain. And we all just come together and we solve each other's problems. But I always say to young people, if there's an equation to solving any problem, the first X is unity, plus whatever the problem is, that we need to all come together as a collective and say, plus whatever it is, it equals to success and development. But everything starts with unity. I do not care who you are. If there is no unity amongst yourselves as black people, you will remain being the majority led by the minority. I think what I said is very simple.
I'd add, I think unity plus empathy.
Empathy works too, but as long as we start with the unity, you can add whatever to the other X as a variable and make it fixed.
Multiple variables.
100%.
No, definitely.
Much better, sure. So I think I said a mouthful, and it's important that we engage. So I'm going to allow us to engage, ask a little bit of questions, and bounce around. What's important, do not allow yourself, we are all conditioned this way. You must try fight your own conditioning so that you move beyond what is keeping you where you are right now, so that we all move forward. It first starts with you, breaking your own chains, and then we move forward, breaking the barriers that they put for us intentionally, deliberately by the systems, and we take the country forward. There's no way I can take this country forward if I'm still trapped in my own chains of capture, because capture is not white. Capture is not black. Capture is capture. Just the definition. Capture is capture. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nhlanhla Lux, Soweto Parliament, morning.
Let's let him breathe a bit. Some comments, a few comments, and then we'll start with questions when you're ready to take questions. So, comments on what he said. Anybody want to make comments? Offense, you wanted to make a comment? You were the first one.
I think question rather.
I don't have a question.
You have a comment, right?
No, I don't have a comment.
Okay, Trevor, you had a comment?
More of a question.
Or a question. Vincent, you have a comment?
Except I have a comment, and it's not a question, but Lux can comment back. He's introduced that we've known each other for a long time. Lux, you're a person of immense courage. You use the words courage and bravery. Not every person's created with that amount, or not every person has reached that level of courage yet in their life. I must say, you also commented that some of your friends didn't shout out to you when you were in trouble. I actually was one, but I was a coward. I deleted my message afterwards. I was scared that your phone was in someone else's hands.
Sure.
So just throw that out there. So I'm admiring your courage. I'm saying I don't have that level of courage. I aspire to it. And I think a lot of people in this room anyway are privileged. I don't know everyone's background in the room. I think when you look at privileged people, I know this is some of my own weakness, and I'm just admitting it, is, you're complacent in what you have, whether you're black or white,
Sure.
When you have that privilege. And I think that's why a lot of privileged people and a lot of people of influence don't take action. You too are privileged in your own ways.
Yeah.
And you're a person who's been blessed, but you stand up, you take action, you believe in yourself, you put your own life and family at risk to fight for what you believe in. And my comment is that I think that's very admirable. I think a lot of people, you are a role model to myself, to young people in this country. It's fantastic to have you in the country at the moment and on the planet. Stay here. And that's my comment.
Next comment. Tuli, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Sure.
I just wanted to comment on something you said regarding black families and the issues that surround them. I think it's a little bit simplistic to just mention the fact that black families have problems without recognizing the world which we live in. I don't think it's very simple to say let's all cut the umbilical cord whether you're black or white and start afresh. My voice gets like this, I'm not about to cry, it's fine. But, because I think, I attended a talk where someone said the modern world is built on a foundation of racism, and it is to further the interests, essentially, of white men. And I think for us to say that we're just going to cut the umbilical cord and start from scratch, it's not recognizing the inherited debt that some people have. And it's very easy to say some people would rather get 1,500 rand than let their brother sleep in their home. But understanding that we come from a system of apartheid where black was pitted against black, and people were trying to be the best black to gain an advantage. Therefore, when we understand that system, the system of oppression that still exists today, understanding that there are people that lived through that are still walking the earth today, then we can't simply say black people have problems. A system was created within the society that allowed for that to happen, and until we address that very complex issue, we can't just say black people have problems. It's a created problem.
I'm with you.
And that definitely needs to be addressed.
Sorry, can I just add something?
Yeah, so
Can I just sorry, 30 seconds.
okay, cool.
I think as humans, we just need to get rid of a sense of self-preservation. You understand? In other words, you look at a problem, and you look at, okay, what's in it for me? Where am I gonna end up if I do not fight this problem? Where am I gonna end up? If we get rid of the self-centeredness and we actually learn to put other people first, and that's when you'll see that radicalism start coming up inside of you, where you're willing to start putting your life on the line and going after what's right and putting other people's lives first.
I understand that's not what I was talking about, right?
No. I get it. I get you saying that we should understand the problem, and I think everybody in this room is well read enough to understand that the whole oppressive system started hundreds of years, in fact thousands of years ago. And I'm just saying, until when are we going to stay in the same place? Making excuses for other people. I'm saying let's put ourselves, let's pull ourselves together and let's start doing something about these problems.
Sure. So I think I also want to just add on to what you're saying. I agree with you totally. That's just I think how you're looking at it is addressing and studying the problem and giving more insight around the problem. So what I'm saying to you is, if you remember why I mentioned that black people have problems, is because I made reference to how we are so disconnected to reality, how they don't know how much problems black people have, and I presented those problems. I'm not saying those problems are problems that we should just overlook and think that we can just move away from. You can't move away from 1,000 years old problem one day and move. But you can decide today that I'm cutting the umbilical cord. All this nonsense, I did it with my family. All this nonsense of people hating each other, trying to kill each other, has nothing to do with me. I'm the happiest person in my family my age, because everybody else tried to be part of that problem and tried to inherit the problem. Hey, namamaka, hey, akeko lifung lamang. You know better. You know what I'm talking about. I go to everyone's funeral, whether their mothers used to hate my mom or not, because I chose to be that person. Why? Because I cut the damn umbilical cord. So that's what I'm referring to when I say we cut the umbilical cord. We're not going to nurse the problem, because if we nurse the problem, then it's going to move from 1,000 years to 1,500 years. Then your kids have to deal with it again. I cut it, damn it. My kids don't have to deal with that problem. They're not inheriting that nonsense. 100%, I can guarantee you now. That's all I was saying.
And I maintain, I think it's a little bit simplistic, but I hear you.
Sure. Well, it works for me. It's practical. It works.
I hear you.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, next question. I think we can take questions now. We'll start with Ndawa and then Offensive.
Do you have a question?
No, sir.
Okay, so Ndawa, B, and then you will be there. Okay. So you can start in 3. Yeah.
Cool. So oftentimes the assumptions that one racial group has of another is often as a result of years and years of conditioning.
Sure.
Those discussions that happen at dinner tables,
Sure.
the odd racial slur that comes here,
Sure.
getting cut off in traffic, the racial slur comes out. This is something that people get basically socialized. children at a young age. How do you change that? Because you're fighting against years and years of indoctrination. And to get somebody to actually look inwards to themselves and actually question what you've been doing since they were young and come to the conclusion that that was the wrong approach to life. What's the plan? Because I agree, it's needed.
Sure.
But how do you begin to do that? Because I used to be a social justice warrior. Whenever somebody said something offside in front of me, I'd correct them there and then. But then I just had to keep correcting people on and on.
Sure.
And then eventually I just got tired of it. I was
Yeah.
like, you know, you're not trying to change.
Sure.
So how do you combat that fatigue? How
Yeah.
do you just keep going and making sure?
So there's a dialogue, an active dialogue that's happening with the Department of Education, because I believe all problems can be solved through education. So what needs to happen is, our bus is gone. I don't think there's much I can do to try and emancipate you completely right now. The system will just load to 65% and keep loading. It'll never get to 100. But if you focus on the kid in standard 5, what is it, grade 7, in grade 7 now, and we make sure that their curriculum helps them understand better. Because you and I, we did not have a subject where we understand the current black problems that black people have to face, where they come from, and the current white problems white people have to face, where they come from. If you produce kids that understand, that are taught this, and it's deliberate and it's intentional, just in 5 years, you have a group of kids emerging out of high school who are better thinkers and understand the problems and therefore can solve them better compared to both you and I. So I think it's education. Sure.
B, your question, please.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Sure.
Mine is more a question of curiosity. I think you've raised some really interesting ideas and experiences. What struck me a lot is that you highlighted, or at least showed us, a lot of people's blind spots, if you like, or ways in which people were the problem. I'm curious to know what you think your blind spots are.
Sure.
And ways in which you think you're actually contributing to the problem and not actually being the solution inside.
So the only way I'm contributing to the problem currently is that I refuse to be part of the political system. And most people can only reason through the political system, because that's how we all conditioned, that if you're going to lead in your community, your province, or your city, or your country, it must be through a political channel. And that's the only thing that I know that I am contributing to that does not make sense to the current situation and how we think of leadership in the country. But it's important, we understand that. That's why we have set up platforms such as Soweto Parliament. They're non-political, because not everybody wants to lead their communities through a political platform. Some of us just want to get in there and have a decent conversation without changing our accents to Mchan, command, comrade, what. So leadership, we forget each other's names, we just call leadership, but the bulk of the conversation is about the tender instead of the problem of the community. So we understood that there's a problem there, and that's why I was one of the people in the forefront to create the community parliaments that you guys are seeing now. Alexandra has its own community parliament, and Soweto has its own. You go as far as Mpumalanga, Kangala Parliament, Emalahleni Parliament, Shekho has its own parliament, and Eastern Cape has parliaments emerging. And what the parliaments do, fundamentally, 3 things. I'm just now using the opportunity because 3 things: political accountability, economic accountability, social accountability. You see? So my blind spots right now are simple. We do not know enough to be scared. And for me, that's a blind spot, because we could be killed anytime. And if we're gone, I don't think there'll be enough young people who are ready to risk their life like we do on a daily basis. And we have to, because the universe conspired for me to be this person. I can never disrespect that. This is not by my doing. It's just what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Nungu, your question first, and then KG's got a comment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Nhlanhla.
Hello, Mom.
My name is Noktula.
Sure.
And I have a lot of questions for you, but I'm just going to ask this one question. And I don't know, you can correct me if I misunderstood, but you spoke of the foreigner that sells drugs in the community, and you spoke of the illegal immigrants, right? The illegal foreigner. So I just want to find out, is there a correlation, the removal rather, of the illegal immigrants. I just want to find out, is there a correlation between the two? And can we not argue that it's probably someone who actually is legal or a legal immigrant that's selling the drugs, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the illegal immigrant? I just want some clarity on that specific issue. And if it is two different agendas, you can also just...
Yeah, it's two different things. I didn't, the people in this room will tell you, I didn't say that the illegal immigrants are selling drugs. No point did I say that.
Agendas.
Yeah, so when I spoke about the drug dealer, happens to be a South African.
Okay.
So we don't have agendas just specific targeting illegal or legal foreigners. This person I'm talking about is a South African. But we held them accountable because we're not going to accept anybody selling drugs in our communities. Our kids already, 50% of the young people in Soweto are on drugs. We can't afford to have 51%. So that's why we started.
And those are locals
What do you
selling
mean?
those drugs. Those are
Majority are South Africans, yes. Majority are South Africans. Now let's go to the illegal immigrants problem.
Okay.
That is something that I am not apologetic about. There is no way that I'm going to sit here and normalize the fact that people can just cross borders and be part of whatever activity, be it legal or illegal. You stepping into the country, first of all, stepping into the country, your first step you take here without going and getting your proper stamp is illegal. And that's why the term is illegal foreigner. I did not come up with the term. I found it here like you and I. You also found it here. So I'm using it because it's what it is. It's an illegal, undocumented person. If you did the same and stepped into Zimbabwe, do you know what's the consequence?
No, I just wanted to find out if there's a correlation between the two, but you...
No, there's no correlation, Mama. There's no correlation. Sure, yeah.
KJ has a comment for you, Nhlanhla.
Sure, okay?
Sure.
Morning. Sure.
You're not taller.
Sure.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
No, man, I appreciate three things that you said that
Sure.
stood out for me. You said active citizenship.
Sure.
You mentioned community and you mentioned the equation.
Sure.
And for me that speaks out because it stands out because for a change it's nice to come across someone who's actually not just over the nothing.
Sure.
You know, because too often people just talk. And even as young people, we talk about issues, but there's no one who's actually coming with solutions and who's actually being active. Our active citizenship, in most cases, is voting.
Sure.
Right? But that doesn't really change the problem. So I just wanted to commend you.
Thank you. Sure.
More fuel to the flame, man. And I really appreciate your approach, the passive approach. You see, so from my side, I'm just saying big ups, man.
Morning.
Keep pushing, man.
Sure. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sir, thank you very much for everything. What is your call to action? I think you've got everybody's attention.
Yeah. I think the call...
Sorry, can I just add?
Yeah.
Right, so I also want to understand what this bursting of bubbles for you looks like. What kind of, not necessarily your instinct, but what does progress look like in your agenda?
So when you say bursting the bubbles, the two bubbles I spoke about?
Yeah, so you're saying Vincent is in a bubble.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So what is
Yeah.
that bringing those walls together? Is that your goal? Is it, because the beauty of self is probably that diversity.
Yeah.
But I understand the challenges in the different spaces.
Yeah.
And that's when you speak about cutting the political cord.
Sure.
So bursting those bubbles, if that's your agenda, is that it? What's kind of not the end state, but what does progress look like?
Yeah, so progress looks like this to me. When we stand up this year and I announce that the education system has changed completely, social education will be real social education that's to do with our people so that he can understand what's going on in Tembisa and Soweto, so that when young people come together to find solutions for the country, they're actually informed about it and they can find real solutions. Progress for me is when the education system that we're going to be announcing is practical, gives our young people practical solutions, because we can't just be a theory-based education system. We need to compete. We need an education system that complements our economy. Right now, at the center of our economy, you have mining, you've got agriculture, but you're producing grade 12 students that have no clue what mining is. So that means the ones in Germany that are actually studying mining are the ones that are going to come and lead our graduates come 5 years' time. So we are reclaiming our economy, not only physically on the streets by making a noise all the time, but also changing it from the system, within the system. And that announcement of the education system is going to happen this year, 100%. Sure. And your call to action, crazy, because we've got programs. You know, the secret of our success are programs. People just speak the whole time. We speak less and have more programs. One of the programs that are major that are coming up, we're closing all police stations June 16. So that's a call to action. If you're courageous enough, the police station, Parkview, the closest to you, you buy you buy your chains, we close them. It's a national call to action. All active citizens in the country, national program, we're closing police stations for 2 reasons. The first reason is that we are saying to government, if these police stations are not going to work for our people, then they might as well be closed. We're not closing them permanently. It's just an exercise for like 6 hours. And the second reason is that our police are bribable. We are saying that government must pay them better so that when we hold them accountable the next day moving forward, we can say we fought for your salary increase. There's no way that you should still be taking 20 rands from a drug dealer's house on a daily basis. So that when our programs become aggressive, it's understandable why. We were part of the process of making sure that the cops get paid better. And that's the call to action for June 16. More call to actions happen, smaller programs, but I think if you follow each other on social media, we always announce the call to actions in time, and within your own space, you can contribute. Sometimes you're a lawyer, you're scared of buying the chain and physically closing the police station, you can just be on standby the day in case you all get arrested.
Just a last comment from you guys. We'd like to thank the several behind you. Got one last question and now comments.
It's a question, or more so gauging your thoughts on circling back to the illegal migrants, right?
Yeah.
So your biggest issue is the jobs and the fact that they have that's your issue, right?
Yeah.
I want to understand that. Are you also cognizant of the fact that they also don't want to do the jobs that these people are willing to do?
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, it's because they're not being paid what they're supposed to be. Like they're supposed to be paid as South Africans.
Yeah.
But I say to a certain extent because a lot of them are youths who feel they're above those jobs.
Yeah.
So I feel even if they were to say, wait again, we're willing to pay you guys what you deserve, I feel they still wouldn't take those jobs because, you know what, I'm above it, I want to be a CEO or whatever. Are you guys doing the work to convince them otherwise? What are you guys doing with that?
To answer your question, definitely you are right. A lot of our people are not ready to do the jobs that are occupied by foreigners, be it legal or illegal, simply because the education system conditioned us wrong. But we're working on it. I promise you we'll produce a better South African in future, 5 years minimum.
Thanks, guys. Just my last comment before we clap for Nhlanhla. Nhlanhla, thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you for coming. Everyone, Poiti, thank you for speaking. Roy, you want to say a few words? I just want my last comment before you say.
Before we go, we're going to be collecting people contact details in case you met someone this evening and you'd like to communicate with them later on and you don't share details. Please don't spam each other. It's what we're here for. It's a very, we have an abundant mindset here, so please work together, but no spam and
let's work together. I just wanted to say to Nhlanhla, obviously, with your colleagues as well, I think, you know, the reason for starting the movement is a very good reason, and we recognize that it's to put the people first. So in advancing the movement, don't forget why you started it. It's to put the people first, so the people must always come first. And when I say that, South Africans definitely first, but also don't ignore the fact that we're part of a global stage, 100%. And South Africa needs to move forward in the context of a global stage. So we need to work with foreigners, whether they be legal or legal. And likewise, I can't just go to the US and step into that country without a passport
100%.
and announce my entry into that country. I can't go to the United Kingdom. The Queen would kick me out within a second. I can't go to Japan. I can't even go to Nigeria
Zimbabwe.
without a passport.
You can't. Zimbabwe.
So we do understand the grievances of South Africans and the issue here. South Africa is a land of milk and honey. We do understand that it's a land of opportunity, but we want to work with everyone that, you know, what we have here is a treasure in South Africa. We can advance the continent forward, but we can't all live in South Africa to advance the continent forward. We need to work together. However that looks is obviously, you know, over multiple of years, decades, etc. But the key thing, put the people first, and everything will be derived from that.
I'll get your numbers from Texas.
Everything will be derived from that. The humanity of it, putting people first. The respect of putting people first, the rule of law, that's the key one. Rule of law, none of us here are hooligans, we're all educated, you can see, nobody was shouting over the next person. This is, people can listen and people can be heard. Just listen to people. People must be heard, that's key. People must be heard, and effectively after being heard, people must be shown that they were actually heard. So thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of your endeavors. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to listen to you.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, really, I mean it.
Hey guys,